All right, well, good evening, everyone, and everybody here and everybody out there in television land. So welcome to the April 2026 edition of the Garden State Java User Group meeting. We went from 2 meetings in March back to back, finally had a break of a good month, so we are back. So welcome. So let's get going. Our usual agenda, of course, we thank our sponsors, talk about what's new. And I actually have some new things in the what's new, other than the boring what's going on with JDK-27 and Jakarta EE. Then at that point, I'll introduce our guest speaker, Don Rabb. Talk about, after his presentations, I'll come back and talk about what's going on outside, conferences and such, and what's in store for us, and even the Friends of the Garden State Jug. And then we'll raffle off Don's new book, relatively new, a few months old, on Eclipse Collection, which you'll hear about tonight. And then have some Garden State Jug 25th anniversary shirts still to give away. So we'll do that as well. And then, of course, at the afterwards, I'll take the attendance and run my random number generator app to pick a winner for a license to IntelliJ IDEA. All right, so our sponsors. Our gold sponsor is Payara. They are the makers of the Payara platform, which includes Payara Server, Payara Micro, Payara Cloud, Payara Cube, and check them out. You've seen some of my demos. I use their web app for that. Azul is our silver sponsor. Of course, now Azul and Payara are one. So look forward to some things going on. I'm sworn to secrecy, but I think there are some things coming down the road and changes with both, right? So our partner is DevNexus, and as most of you know, a lot of us have been part of DevNexus. Don's been there, Barry's been there, I've been there, Chandra, Boris was there this year. I remember I ran into him, so it was good to see you there. So yeah, so this is a great conference, a lot of great speakers, and just there are summits for the Java user group leaders, such as us, of course, and others. Talk about various things on how to improve your respective Java user group. And then there's a summit for the Java champions. So there's always a big discussion was about improving the process for nominating. So. And then our per meeting sponsors, of course, Romanelli's. They provide the pizza for us. And JetBrains, of course, they're the makers of IntelliJ IDEA, WebStorm, Sea Lion, PyCharm, and a host of others. Of course, we'll give away the license to IntelliJ IDEA. And the Eclipse Foundation and Jakarta EE, they provide free hosting or video conferencing known as Crowdcast. Maybe you've seen it before, but they provide that free for all Java user groups. And our memberships, as you know, we're part of the Jakarta EE ambassadors, the microprofile and Jakarta EE working groups. We are guest members of those last two. I do like to attend those on a regular basis to see what's going on there. And of course, the virtual jug, they do some hosting, I think, virtually, of course, with different Java user groups. Today was the AI4J. I sent the email yesterday about that. It kicked off today at noon our time, and then went to about maybe 3:30, 3:45, something like this. So Frank Greco, Jennifer Reif, Venkat Subramaniam, Josh Long, James Ward, Ken Cousin, they were a host of the speakers that were there today. So even though it's already done, I just wanted to mention that. And then Arc of AI is going on this week. So we should have 3 of our members there in Austin, Texas. As you can see, there was the raffle winners from January through March. And then we also have somebody there, Matt. That's it, thank you. Who's there as well, and he will deliver a report from that. So we look forward to that when that happens. And then what's new? We have new jug leaders. We have Bhupendra, who delivered a talk in January, and Rodrigo, who actually delivered a talk about 2 years ago, maybe. So let's welcome them. I know they're not here, but they're going to help us out along with Diane and Scott and Neha. So yeah, there's 6 of us, right? Who am I missing? Oh, Alok. Yeah, And so yeah, so this is great to have them and to help us out with getting speakers and things like this. So we always welcome the help. There is a Payara platform community survey going on right now. I asked Dominica at Payara if there's anything to announce, so she made me aware of this. If you'd like to participate, there's a QR code or the link right there. What else? Oh, we are now part of the Java Community Process, or JCP. Normal membership are elected, but there are guest memberships, so we are part of that now. Barry initiated that before Java 1, and we are partner members, and then Barry is an individual member. And to that point, we were nominated for a Java in Education Award at Java 1, but we did not win. But hey, to be nominated was cool.
It was an honor for us to be nominated.
Yes, it was an honor for us to be nominated. So I wasn't going to go there, but let the cat's out of the bag. But yeah, but still, it's really cool. There are a lot of jugs that are involved in Java and education. I know Diane and Barry have gone out to schools and have worked with students, and of course the students here as well. So who are students here today? Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice. 6. No, 1, 2, no, 5. So welcome. First time, anybody? First time? Great. Welcome. Hope to see you again. So how many seniors? No seniors. Okay, so we'll see you after the semester's over, back in September. All right, so let's see. Whoops, wait, went too fast there. Okay. All right, and of course the big news since our last meeting, JDK-26 was formally released on March 17th. All right, so those are the JEPs that are part of that. JDK-27, still only one JEP that has been targeted for 27, which will be in September. By the way, the release schedule for that finally came out. It was still a proposal as of a couple hours ago. It'll be finalized, if nobody objects. So there's always a 1-week review. So September 14th is when it'll be available. June 4th is ramp down phase 1, which means the feature set is frozen. So depending on how many JEPs there are at that time, that's the way it's going to be. There was one exception a couple of years ago. That was for Java 21, and that was the G1 GC Shenandoah, I think. I think that was the one. It did finally come a couple of releases later, so. But there was an exception to it. Of course, Jakarta EE 12, I think there is another specification that's not part of the platform. XML binding 4.1, I just heard that today. But they are interested in doing an upgrade, so that should be 25 current specs. All right. And there will be a 1.0 coming soon for Jakarta Agentic AI. This is still new. It was approved in November of last year. And Reza Rahman's leading that effort, and he's going to give an update at the Jakarta EE Future Directions Working group on Thursday. If anybody's interested, come talk to me afterwards. I can give you a link for that. And oh, there we go. That's it. Finally, I'm done talking. So yes, so Don's been with us on and off for what, since 2018, I think. Maybe, yeah. Oh, in Scotch Plains. Oh, yeah, okay, I'd forgotten. But I still remember, I'm not going to name the company, there was somebody who was supposed to give a talk, and they backed out the last minute. I mean, with like just a couple hours to go. No excuse, nothing about coming back. So that was a bridge burn there. But then Don and Chandra, I think you guys came and did a talk in place of it at the last minute, which was very much appreciated. So so we thank you for that again. So, so Don is the creator of the open source Java library known as Eclipse Collections. It's an international Java and open source conference speaker with 35 years of experience programming in 20 different programming languages. He was recognized in 2018 as the Java champion. And I think one of those languages was, I'm trying to remember, Ada? No, which one was it? Oh, Smalltalk, that's the one, yes. Yes, yeah, so how often do you hear those anymore, right? Yeah. So, anybody doesn't know what Smalltalk is? Did you really? Nice, yeah. Yeah, it's, I don't know how many people still use it. Do you still do any? When I can. Okay, cool. Every time I use Eclipse Collections, inspired by Smalltalk. Oh, that's right. Yes, I remember that. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, yeah. You know, the old joke about freezing the COBOL programmers for the year 3000, you know, so of course, I think a lot of us will be all gone by then. So Don remains a project lead and committer for the Eclipse Collections project. He's the author of the book, Eclipse Collections, Categorically Level Up Your Programming Game. A copy of the book is right here, right there. So we'll give away a copy of that tonight. Let's see. And Don was a contributing author to 97 Things Every Java Programmer Should Know. And this was one, I think, spearheaded by Trisha G. You know, she was once with JetBrains, and he was more recently with Gradle. And it's from O'Reilly Media. He was the winner of the JCP Member Participant of the Year Award for 2025. And this was the one that you weren't able to accept. So congratulations on that, Don. All right. So thanks again for coming out. And without further ado, let's welcome Don. So, all right.
I'll be able to tell you in a minute.
Let me give you back mine here.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. So I guess I'll add just a little bit more to the bio. But so I am. They're not related to my work in any way and are not the opinions of my employer.
I see.
Got it?
Let's try that again.
All right, so I'll be talking about refactoring to Eclipse Collections tonight, and this was actually a talk I gave with a fellow colleague. His name is Vladimir Zakharov. A lot of the slide handiwork is his, but he's not here tonight, obviously, with me tonight. But we gave this talk at the Dev2Next conference last September in Colorado. So that's, I guess, the sister conference to Arc of AI. It's run by Venkat Subramaniam. It's a great conference. Looking forward to going again. So with that, I will get into it. So how many folks have heard of Eclipse Collections before? Okay, good. How many folks use Eclipse Collections? Okay, good. Well, hopefully this talk will inspire you to maybe take a look if you haven't already, and if you have looked, maybe take a deeper look and actually start using it. So for those that don't know, so what is Eclipse Collections? It's a feature-rich, memory-efficient Java collections framework. It's, as Mike said, I am the creator. I created it 22 years ago when I was an employee at Goldman Sachs. It started off its life as an internal framework in Goldman Sachs called Caramel. When it was open sourced in 2012 on Goldman Sachs GitHub account. And it was the first project that ever got open sourced at Goldman Sachs. So I get the distinction of being that developer that put something out on the web for Goldman Sachs. In fact, recently I was called by someone the godfather of open source in capital markets. That's a nice title. I'm going to claim it, all mine. I wouldn't, nominate myself for that, but someone else did. So, yeah. So, it's again open sourced in 2012 as GS Collections. We moved it to the Eclipse Foundation at the end of 2015, so it became Eclipse Collections. So, as Mike said before, like Eclipse Foundation being, the home of Jakarta EE and sponsor and host of many projects. I think they have several hundred projects. Okay, this is too funny. It's funny when you see your sister and your brother-in-law show up at a Java user group meetup randomly. Okay, totally unexpected. I've been totally punked. And by the way, on the book, my sister was the designer of the cover. So there is no AI in this book. So a collaboration of us, but she's all the talent on the cover, so thank you. And look, she's got the shirt on too. Okay, I'm totally, nobody would believe, totally unplanned. But anyways, okay, so Eclipse Collections, the latest releases were 12 and 13. We actually released 12 and 13 are about 3 days apart. 12.0 was released on JDK 11. We said enough with JDK 11, it's so done. This was last June. We said, okay, let's immediately release 13 on JDK 17. So 13 and above will be baselined on Java 17. And 14 is currently in development. I may mention some interesting things that are happening there based on the talk tonight. But there is a kata for Eclipse Collections. So if you go to github.com/Eclipse Collections/Eclipse Collections, that's the project. GitHub.com/Eclipse Collections/Eclipse Collections kata is the kata. So Eclipse Collections being open source, it's open for contributions. Anybody can contribute as long as you sign the Eclipse Foundation Contributor License Agreement, and then get your pull requests approved by pesky committers like myself who require all sorts of nice things to happen for code to actually be committed to the library. So let's get started with why refactor to Eclipse Collections. And it's interesting, you all are the first folks to actually see this updated version of the slide. Can anybody figure out where the update might be? It is? No. It's the colorful things down at the bottom. So under memory savings, and you all are going to be the first to hear about the memory savings of Stream versus lazy iterable. And I have been using Java Stream since before Java 8 was released because I was on the JSR 335 expert group that got lambdas and streams into the Java language in Java 8. So I started doing testing of Java streams around 2011, 2012. I have looked at Stream's code a lot. I have never measured the memory of Stream itself, and you will see for the first time what I saw just 2 months ago after 14 years of looking at this, never looking at the memory footprint, and you will not be able to unsee it. And apologies for that. Well, not really so much apologies, but you'll still see. So some of the benefits, yeah, it's easy. So it has drop-in replacements for JDK types. So array list, hash set, and hash map, we have equivalents that are called fast list, unified set, unified map. You'll never see those class names if you're using Eclipse Collections the way we intend it to be used. There are factory classes that create them. They're easier to remember than the class names. You'll see those in a second. There are intuitive humane APIs. So Eclipse Collections has a very feature-rich API on the collections themselves. So imagine you had the entire Streams protocol only on the collections themselves, and then add tens more methods to that to cover all the different behaviors. And this kind of is a giveaway to that testability, debuggability mention up there. So Eclipse Collections has both lazy and eager protocols. So you can basically like do things either directly on the collection, it'll be done eagerly. It's like when you make the call, something happens. You have a lazy API, which you on a collection can say as lazy, and then you do something. And that's very similar to Stream. We also get streams as well. We got those for free with Java 8 because of the way Stream was added. Because we are compatible with JDK collections, we implement the collection interface on our Immutable collections. So Stream is defined there as a default method. Hey, Stream is free. We don't have to do anything. We've since optimized the stream that we get. I could talk maybe later if folks want to about some contribution that I made to the JDK after doing some parallel testing for Stream with Eclipse Collections. Discovered a unfortunate thing that happened with the default implementation of Stream. Let's say, one of the interesting things, because we have eager methods, you see the nice hamburger up there. Nobody's hungry though, right? Because we had pizza. We're all good? Okay, because otherwise I'd be.
I could always use extra.
You can use extra, right? There's this term for when you call stream code, right? That there are these bun methods. So it's like you've got two bun methods typically, and some meat method in the middle. And if you're vegetarian, it's I guess some impossible neat equivalent. But so good example would be like if you have collection you call .stream, that's a bun method. Then you do something, let's say you do filter map, well, reduce isn't a good example. Filter map would be a kind of intermediate operation. Then you have some terminal operation like toList, where you actually then cause the stream to execute the code and actually evaluate and return some result. So anyways, comprehensive support for primitive types. Eclipse Collections has support for all 8 primitive types. With Java Stream, you get 3 primitive types. You get int, long, and double. We cover Boolean, byte, char, int, short, long, float, double. I lost count, but all 8. We do have a more efficient set and map implementation. I can explain that later for folks if they want to ask questions about it. The better performance, I mean, your mileage may vary here. Sometimes you're going to see things that perform better than JDK. It's like, what are you comparing? Some things will be slower, and sometimes it depends, right? So hard to say, like, some things will be faster, some things won't be. Okay, Eclipse Collections has an enormous number of types. I think it's probably over 3,000. Don't worry, it's not scary. As the book would teach you, like, there's only 9 things to learn. You can see that on the path there. But in terms of types, we have both mutable and immutable types. You can have sorted in there as well. We have all the primitive types represented. For the container types, we have bag, BiMap, interval, lists, map, set, and stack. You then can get lazy and parallel off that as well. And then we have multimaps, right, which you won't find in the JDK. So multimaps are like map of K to some collection type V, right? It's the equivalent of that. A bag, also not in the JDK, is basically map of K to some integer or long value where you're keeping counts. I never keep counts with anything other than a bag. Bags are good for counting. Should use bags. But basically, you can see the types that form out of this combination, right? You have a mutable int list, or a long stack, or a sorted bag multimap, or an immutable long map, right? So it's like this combination of things like form the pattern of how we look at the types. So once you recognize that these basic patterns exist, the combination of them will probably wind up resolving in some type. Now, how you actually create collections in Eclipse Collections, for every container type, there's a plural named factory. So you'll see like container type bag will have a bags factory, right? And from the bags factory, I can get, let's say, .immutable or immutable. So you go to one place to create both your mutable and immutable collections. You don't have to remember the type names like hash bag or immutable hash bag or immutable array bag or whatever. It's like, it's just bags. If you're dealing with a multi-map, right, you'd be doing, let's say, multimaps .mutable .bag. There's then a container type for the collection container within the multi-map. But then you have these different factory methods. Now, there's a blog, if you're curious. I think it's called preposition preference. So if you look in terms of the factory methods, there's 2 parallel methods. There's with and there's of. Smalltalk developers, we like with. Java developers, we like of. Eclipse Collections, we like both Smalltalk developers and Java developers, so we have both. And I explain in the blog why we have both and where of starts to fall short and where with kind of continues its journey of adding more.
Collect and detect.
Those are the methods in Eclipse Collections. You're going to see those tonight as I'm refactoring. So it's like, I call that the Dr. Seuss API in Eclipse Collections. It's not where it actually came from. I can actually explain because I had to do the research on this. So the names in Smalltalk for methods like filter, map. So filter is select, map is collect. Find first would be detect. Reduce would be, well, if you had reduce left or fold left, it would be inject into. But all these words wound up with ect in the name. Where it actually came from, even though they all rhyme, is, anybody know the song Alice's Restaurant? So it's actually, is Guthrie, right? Arlo Guthrie. Okay, that's older than I am. Okay, maybe not too much older, I don't know. But so I learned the history of this. So apparently Alice's Restaurant's very popular in Pittsburgh, maybe in Pennsylvania, they play it, they call it the Thanksgiving song.
Oh, they always play Thanksgiving.
So
It's like a 20-minute
things that you learn about stuff that you had no idea you had any interest in whatsoever, right? So anyways, in the song, Arlo Guthrie has this one section where he talks about someone goes down to get drafted and has to get injected, detected, selected. He's going for like the selective service, processing, and he's got to go through all these different things. So they have all these wrong words, and apparently that is the creation story for the methods in Smalltalk, which have wound up into Eclipse Collections. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So if we look at the way you can actually evolve from the JDK types to Eclipse Collections, if we take the basic JDK types, everybody familiar with the Java Collections framework? So you've used Java util set, Java util collection, Java util map, Java util list. So these interfaces. Okay. So these interfaces, we implement them on our mutable collections. And what you'll see is like the first thing you have to decide if you want to pick a type, you have to decide, well, am I going to be mutable or am I going to be immutable? Now, an immediate problem you have in the JDK is there's nothing to differentiate them. There's only a mutable type. That type is called set. Yes?
Idea why there isn't that. I'm sure there's a reason, but I don't know what it is. And there are so many times when I've had to, where I want to enforce mutability on a collection that's being passed to me, and I can't do it without either checking or doing something else of sorts. I'm unsure why there isn't like a mutable collection, immutable collection interface that can just be tagged for for most of these.
We solve this problem in Eclipse Collections. So we have both mutable and immutable collections and the types to correspond with them. So you see at the bottom, you see mutable set, bottom left, and then immutable set, bottom right. So those are the Eclipse Collections types. But if we looked at how do we start from set, the first question you have to ask is, do you want mutable or immutable? If you want a mutable set, in the JDK, what I would say is, on the left-hand side of my code, I would say set of string equals new hash set, and either I can empty constructor. In this case, I'm constructing it with list 1, 2, 3, right? If I want to actually migrate that to Eclipse Collections, I can simply replace the code on the right. I don't have to change the type. I can leave the type the same to set of string, but I can replace it with sets.mutable of. Now, I've already started communicating more here because I've said this is mutable, right? You'd have to know that hash set is the mutable implementation here. Yes?
Wonder, I guess maybe a mutable set is a child interface of mutable collection and sets. Because wouldn't it make more sense to have a mutable collection interface for the EC type? Just hypothetically.
It has both. So mutable set extends mutable collection. Mutable collection extends collection from the JDK. Mutable set extends set. So it extends both. You wind up with like a diamond hierarchy there. So I want to say it's somewhat elegant. You're going to see the then problem we have on the immutable side, because like where does that fit in the hierarchy? And the answer is it doesn't. I'll explain in a minute, and you'll see through some examples probably. So on the mutable side, though, like if I want to, then if I've already migrated the right, I can actually change the type on the left, and easily change from set of string to mutable set of string, right? So if, however, I want to go on the mutable side, right, I can choose set of. So this creates a mutable collection. Now, what's confusing to me, I mean, I don't know for others, this is the set interface, which is mutable, is creating immutable collections. Just get used to it. It's the convention, right? Now, it's funny because like on the set interface, I'm calling it mutable. It would often be called conditionally mutable. It means the implementation doesn't have to be mutable. The implementation is going to tell you whether it's mutable or not. But the interface itself has add and remove methods, has clear methods, remove all, add all. That looks like a mutable interface to me. Yes? They do, yes. We do not have any of those methods on our immutable collection types. So what you see actually has to happen. If you want to go with an immutable collection using the set interface on the left, to create the immutable collection with Eclipse Collections, I do sets.immutable of. So I switched from mutable to immutable. I have the factory method here, but I actually have to cast this to set because our immutable collection type, our immutable set is not a set. Except the implementation winds up implementing the set, which is how you can do the cast. So the interface is not a set. The implementation is. Again, it's a design decision that we made. I can explain it in greater detail later. But what it allows is for our immutable set interface to have no mutating methods on it. The implementation has to have the methods that throw, though, in order for an immutable set to be equal to a set. And you want equality to work between two different sets, whether they're mutable or immutable. But the final change you can make here is if I want it to be typed as an immutable set, I can change the type on the left, and then I can actually drop the cast to set method here. Don't worry, we're going to do this live. You're going to see me coding it and what this actually looks like in practice.
Convert from a Java collection to Eclipse collection or back?
I mean, that's effectively what we're doing here, right? So this is showing the
methods to convert to, say, sets.
Oh, I see. You do have methods that actually allow you to go both ways. Well, yes. You may not like the way you have to get there from the JDK direction because there are no methods from JDK to Eclipse Collections because it doesn't know it exists. But there are easy ways to go to JDK Collections if you want. Yes?
Immutable doesn't really fit in the hierarchy, and I'm kind of wondering why. And the only thing I can think of is that because the JDK collections, there's already a bunch of immutable ones that implement mutable methods, it's going to be difficult, to properly extend it.
Well, so the reason we didn't do it, if we made a mutable set this type, extend set, I get add, remove, and I have to throw. We don't want those methods. This is an immutable type. It should have no mutating methods on it. So that makes it contractually immutable. Yes?
Yeah, so the JDK is to blame then fundamentally because the JDK obviously
so in order to provide interop with the JDK, though, we have to make set the thing that we're equal to. So when you do the equals contract, as well as hash code the implementation, it has to be compatible with set. So when I see an immutable set, I at least know that it's going to be equal to a JDK set, even if the interfaces are not related in any way.
It only just occurs to me now that the reason why there probably isn't going to be a mutable interface in JDK ever is because of backwards compatibility with that design decision from earlier. Yeah, starting from scratch, obviously, it would make more sense to have a mutable interface with the
If you ask me later, I'll show you a path that they could take to that. It's possible for them to take that path, but they have to choose to want to do that. I can send you a link to actually a presentation I gave to the JCP Executive Committee in 2020 about how they could actually migrate to having mutable and immutable interfaces, not using Eclipse Collections, but using a migration path to get there. So yeah, okay. This just shows this was set. If you look, you see something's changing there. All I'm changing is the from sets to lists. So you get, this is one of the key design features in Eclipse Collections. We love symmetry. So you can actually see the symmetry happening here, right? All I'm changing, at least on these rows, is from sets to lists, right? So you can see the pattern and expect that. So that when you have a very rich library, symmetry is extremely important to actually help you just visualize how things should be and expect that, and then hopefully the library matches that expectation. Okay. This shows several things. So the I guess the yellowish bubbles, maybe tan, depending on how this is looking back there, are JDK type. So you've got stream from Java, you've got the set interface, you've got the collections utility class, the gatherers class, which came out in JDK 21. No, I'm sorry, gatherers is 25. That's new. It's 24 or 25. So I based this on 25. Collectors, also JDK, but then Eclipse Collections has the immutable set interface, and what you see in the middle is the number of methods on these types. So you can see Eclipse Collections is enormous, right? And that should, anybody scared already? Too big, can't learn, can't, there's a book which breaks it down into 9 things, not 158. But anyways, so yeah, there's a lot of methods on immutable set, and they're all at the top of the hierarchy for immutable set is a type called rich iterable, and it has the full protocol that is implemented and available for both the collections as well as the lazy iterables. We also have a set of collectors. You can see we have a lot more collectors than the JDK has, so 72 instead of 30. That's because we're supporting all the types from Eclipse Collections in our collectors. So we allow, and this gets to your point, can I go from a JDK type to an Eclipse Collections type? Yeah, use a collector from Eclipse Collections. and I can get from JDK to Eclipse Collections. If you want to go back to a Java type, guess what? You can go from Eclipse Collections using a Java-based JDK collector to get there if you want. There are other ways to do it as well. But so anyways, this number, 158, this was a core problem I've had to solve for Eclipse Collections, and you're going to find out the solution. I keep joking about it with the book, which is like, how do you get someone to learn 158 things, right? The human mind can comprehend 7 plus or minus 2 things. 9? There's 9? Okay. So the solution to this problem is to group things, right? If you look at a collection interface, these are the types of things you're going to be doing on a collection. You're going to be transforming things. You're going to be grouping. You might be converting to different types, filtering. You might do testing, finding, wrapping. So each of these is a method category. Now, Smalltalk developers? All right, we've had method categories in Smalltalk for like over 50 years. Java still doesn't have method categories. They know they don't have method categories because I explained to the Java community that method categories should be introduced to Java so we can solve this problem, which is basically we should have a way of tagging our methods and saying it belongs to this category or that category, or even potentially multiple categories. Because then what you can actually do is you could have your IDE, instead of showing you 158 things in a list, and either it's in counter order in the file or I can sort it alphabetically, not terribly useful when there's 158 things, you can wind up with something that looks like this. So this is actually the Eclipse Collections rich iterable interface that you can see if you use either Eclipse Collections 12 or 13. If you open it in IntelliJ, it's going to show this. Instead of a single list, you will see the method categories. So Java does not have method categories. I had to simulate method categories using custom code folding regions in IntelliJ. So there are comments, and you can see that / region and the / n region? So I put those into the source of Eclipse Collection so that when IntelliJ sees it, it parses it and said, oh, let me put this in a tree view for you. So now you can see instead of when I go into rich iterable, I don't see 158 things, I see 9. And then I can figure out, what am I looking for? Am I looking for converting methods? Am I looking for grouping methods? Am I looking for transforming? Yes, you can put emojis in code. Yes, those are real emojis that are in the code. No, I don't use emojis in my regular code. But it's useful to actually, when you're scrolling through a file with like thousands of lines, being able to have a graphic visualization that says, oh, there's something to see here. Stop, right? Yes, Mike.
Jet draft for emojis in the Java, in the JDK?
It's already supported. You can do it. I'm just saying, so it's funny, I will do it in unit tests, and you know the tests I love to write with emojis are like a bag of fruit. So I want to show apples and bananas, and it's much more visually appealing instead of saying text apple, banana, just seeing the apple or banana as a string. So yeah, it's already supported. I think it's been supported since JDK 11. I'm not going to recommend you use emojis all over the place. The problem with emojis is when you need to type it, you got to go to that drop-down menu to pick the emoji out of a list, right? That's a pain. But it's fun. It actually makes code potentially more fun to read. So in the Eclipse Collections Kata, if you go look at it, there are emojis for pets. Pets are great. You get cat and dog and turtle and snake, and then fruit is useful. Yeah.
Code that I got, and I was putting it into my code and compiling it, and I found when it got to emojis, the JDK I was working with caught when it got to an emoji. So I had to take
maybe it was less than 11? Yeah, well, once again, it was 11. Had it, I believe, because I looked it up at some point, but yeah, I guess your mileage may vary. There was some point where it wasn't supported. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so hopefully point I've gotten across here is like the way you take something very large is you use this feature. I didn't use the name, but it's called information chunking. And that's the theory behind the 7 plus or minus 2 things the human mind can remember. It's like take things and chunk them. It's how we got things like social security numbers. It's why they're the length they are. Or like phone numbers, why they're organized the way they are. It's like back in the day when we had to memorize phone numbers, or when you had to memorize your social security number, now everybody knows it, right? It's like on the web, so it's okay. You don't have to remember, just ask anyone, they know what it is. But anyways, yeah, so information chunking, which is grouping things together, right? Okay, so if you don't walk away with anything else tonight, if you don't love Eclipse Collections and you don't win the book and you didn't take a sticker and you didn't get any pizza, walk away knowing that there's this open JDK tool called Java Object Layout. And most developers I encounter, and you are not unique in this way, shape, or form, is like most developers do not know the memory layout of Java objects, right? It's not something that gets taught. It's something that I had to learn through, you know, a baptism of fire back in 2004 when I was trying to jam 10 pounds of stuff into a 5-pound bag, AKA loading a large Java cache into a 32-bit memory space. I need to fit 7 gigs of stuff in a place where I only had 4 gigs available. It doesn't work. What do you do, right? So measuring memory became important to me. So I started counting, oh, that's a reference, that's 4 bytes in 32-bit. Oh, you go to 64-bit, now that's an 8-byte reference. Oh, we get compressed oops, now that gets us back to 4-byte, right? We don't teach these things, and I never got taught it. I had to learn it through horrible, horrible experiences. You can read about it in the preface of the book. By the way, even if you don't win the book. Sorry. In the preface, which you can actually read online in the free reading sample at Amazon, I explained the genesis of Eclipse Collections. It was not born because I wanted the Smalltalk API. It was born because I needed memory-efficient collections, and I did not have them. And the JDK did not give them to me, and I needed to solve that problem, or I was going to get fired. And you do things when, you know, and you learn things about yourself. And no, okay, I'm being dramatic. I don't know if I was going to be fired. I may be moved to the team, whatever happened. I had this problem to solve, and I looked at it. It was like my career was dependent on me solving it, and I came up with solutions. The solutions were to, you know, come up with memory-efficient lists, maps, and sets, right, in the small range. And I happen to have that problem. Most people don't have this problem. But it's interesting because, like, I did not have Java Object Layout in 2004. Anybody know JMap, the tool? Yeah, JMap-histo, and then your process ID. I'm telling you, even today, this tool is super useful, but most developers don't even know it exists. It sits, if you've got Java installed, it's a Java command line tool. It's wonderful. And what it will show you is, you look up a Java, and by the way, if you don't, process ID, you can either find through Activity Monitor or whatever the equivalent is in Windows, I forget. What's the thing to show like processes? Oh, no. Well, it's funny because there is actually another command line tool in Java called JPS, I think, which will show you the list of Java processes, which is nice. It actually filters it down. You don't have to sort through, you know, what's Chrome or whatever else in your Activity Monitor equivalent. But basically, yeah, I didn't have this. I had JMap. JMap is still useful, but it's like JMap's a blunt tool. JMap will show you what's in your heap. It'll show you like, oh, yeah, you've got like 32 gigs of strings, as in byte arrays, maybe 3 million strings containing those byte arrays, but you don't know, like, what's the cost of a single string there? I don't know, right? I don't know what the makeup is. What's nice with JAL, or Java Object Layout, you can measure the memory cost and layout of a single object or a single class. So you can target it. It's like a precision instrument, excuse me. But anyways, there's a blog on Baildung about it. I've answered questions about using Java Object Layout and about Java Object Layout on Stack Overflow. I think it's the only 2 questions I've asked in the last 2 years on Stack Overflow. I also answered them. That's what happens when Stack Overflow now. You ask yourself the question on Stack Overflow, then you go and answer your own question and hope that AI is listening. I'm sorry. My attempts at humor notwithstanding. But OK, so JAL, useful. All right. This is the secret slide no one's seen before, well, except for if you read my blog and then you've already seen this in non-slide format. So this actually shows you the memory cost that, and I didn't know about this until a month or 2 ago. If you do list of .stream, so it's an empty list, and you ask Java Object Layout, what is the cost of that using vanilla, actually, no, I'm sorry, this is using compact object headers. Another setting nobody knows exists, except for if you know it exists, and then I'm wrong, and that's OK. But compact object headers got introduced in Java 24 as an experimental feature. It got introduced in Java 25 as a product-ready feature, but it's optional. This reminds me of way back in the day when compressed oops got introduced, I think, into Java 6. It was optional back then. You had to turn it on via setting. you have to turn compact object headers on. If you turn it on, and if you read my blogs, you'll say like, oh yeah, I should just turn this on because it's good. It saves memory. But anyways, with it on, list.of.stream, empty list. The stream takes 80 bytes. The list is empty. List of, which would be immutable, takes probably 40 bytes, and there's a singleton in memory, so I only have one. But every time I call .stream, it's another 80 bytes. Now put that in a loop and do it a million times. Simple math, it's about 80 megs. Okay, list.immutable, oops, typo, should be empty, not empt. I mean, I like conciseness, but not that much. So anyways, list.immutable.empty.asLazy takes 16 bytes. I had no idea this was the case. I've compared Java Stream and Eclipse Collections lazy iterable for at least 12 years. I've looked at the code. I don't like the code in Stream, but in terms of measuring performance, I was always measuring collection sizes and looking at the performance, not looking at the memory footprint of the Stream instance itself. Now you can say, you don't hold on to this long. When I do .stream, I do some process and then I let it go and it gets garbage collected. But imagine you're like walking down the street and you're eating like fast food and you're throwing it out the window and saying, someone's gonna collect that, not a problem, right? It's like, yeah, you're keeping the collector happy, but why are you generating 80 bytes for an empty, well, and this stream doesn't even do anything. When we actually step down to filter, now we're gonna do something useful. Now it's 144 bytes. I haven't done anything yet. Yes?
Where this extra footprint is coming from, and the only thing I can think of is maybe like with every invocation, there's like some metadata members are being gathered or something like that. Like
no, it's a simpler reason. If you look at the Stream implementation in Java, and this is a problem I've always had with it, but I looked at it and said, well, it's the way they implement it, it's the way they implement it. Stream has a single implementation. It's called reference pipeline. Reference pipeline extends abstract reference pipeline. Reference pipeline has the code for both serial and parallel execution in one place, and there are if statements to determine whether you're serial or parallel. The cost of parallel is what's happening here. You're being charged the parallel cost whether you're working serial or not. So you get all of these variables that are defined in abstract. You can look it up. Look at an abstract reference pipeline. It's going to have state that it holds on to. It hasn't done anything. So you get like a splitterator. You know, I'm sorry, you're going to ask a question. Yeah.
Well, just to make sure I'm understanding right, then this large footprint on these empty streams and collections is because it needs to maintain state for, as you said, spawning splitterators, making it work, stealing pool, you know, doing all the formalities of a parallel stream for stuff you usually do serially.
Yes. The most common case is serial. The other most common case is small collections. So it's funny. I'm going to say, like, I've had a blind spot for over a decade, which I've only ever tested and compared Stream and lazy iterable for large collections, and they're comparable. So I said, nothing to see here. I'm not going to look. This I discovered recently, and I'm like, my mind is blown, because what this does is this memory cost, well, you could say memory's, who thinks memory's free? It's more expensive now too, right? It's like 4 times the price of probably last week, because nobody can get access to memory anymore. But yeah, it's like I've never looked at that as like the memory cost of these things as being consequential. It just never dawned on me. I also, it turns out, when I looked at the memory cost of lazy iterable, because I've created Eclipse Collections and somewhat familiar of it, I sat here scratching my head going, why are the asLazy collect int long and double 64 bytes? That's too big. And it turns out they are too big. And there was something that we optimized for other lazy iterable types that we hadn't done for those, so I fixed that. So this is delete 16 bytes here. They're down to 48 now. Did I get that math right? The same thing happened with tap. I'm like, why is tap 40 bytes? It should be 24, and now it's 24. There was an extra 16 bytes being carried along. Yeah?
Groups of 8 bytes here are literally just references and nothing else. So
well, and references are funny because Java is 8-byte aligned. You can have 4 bytes with 4 bytes of padding that cost you 8 bytes, right? So all you need is 4 bytes to push you over, and now it's 8 bytes for you. And that's actually how compact object header saves you occasionally 8 bytes. If you had 4 bytes of padding in your object before compact object headers was turned on, you're going to save 8 bytes. Because what they do is they delete or remove 4 bytes from the object headers. So the object headers before were 12 bytes. they've been shortened to 8 bytes. It's, I guess, from 128-bit to 64-bit. Okay, I'm doing lots of memory stuff here already. I haven't even started refactoring yet. You want to see me refactor, or you want to ask me more questions?
Good. I'm taking up a lot of time as a
That's okay.
Oh,
No, actually, I love the questions.
Yeah,
but I do want to not go way over, so we're here till 9 p.m. All right, good. Let's do it. Who wants to see me code? I don't get to code that much, so I like coding. All right, let's jump in. So, hey, emojis in code. So this is a test. In this project was actually on the front page. I'll bring up the link later. So my friend Vlad actually, it's his GitHub account that has the code that we built together. But basically what we've done is we've grouped the tests into single methods for counting, testing, finding, filtering, grouping. It's not going to say, I'm going to say it's not the best way of writing tests where we may be doing too many tests in a single method, but it's a nice way to group them together. So anyways, I'm going to look at counting. So remember we talked about Eclipse Collections is a drop-in replacement for the JDK. So you can see right here, this is a JDK type generation set. Is it going to bubble for me? I'm going to jump in. Hold on. So generation set is a set of generation. And you can see it's, well, set of generation values, right? So everybody here from a generation? Generation X? Boomers? Woohoo! Millennials? Gen Z? Gen Alpha? I don't meet any Gen Alphas yet. Well, I you know, guess younger than in high school now, maybe. So anyways, generation is literally the generation you're used to. So this is an enum, right? So these are the generations we have with ranges of years. So this is hopefully a domain you're all familiar with because you're all from a generation. One of these you can identify, hopefully. Yeah, so what was that? You're unclassified? You're really old. That was just so I make the code work. It's funny because well, most people, and I didn't know this, and actually, okay, these are in the book. Thanks, Barry. So I had to learn about these older generations, progressive missionary, lost generation. We don't I've never heard of these before, right? We might have heard about greatest and maybe silent, right? We definitely heard about boomers way too much. Generation X, we never hear about them. I'm not sure we actually exist. But yeah, millennials, Gen Z, get a lot of press recently. But it's funny because like the domain in the book as well, for those that are curious, why would I have generations? I also have US presidents. So the data for presidents and generations, when you start intersecting and overlapping and you look at the time ranges, they give you some interesting things you can learn. So you actually get a bit of history in the book as well. It's all historical. There's nothing political in here. It's just any names that you see are just historical fact names. But anyways, I will go back. So that's generation. So you can see this was a JDK set, right? What I'm going to do is first, before we refactor anything, we should run our tests, right? Let's make sure all tests run. Oops, let's unfilter. Of course, I ran a single test. Let's not run a single test. Let's run the whole class. Okay. So if I run for the whole class, there's all the tests in here: chunking, converting, counting, filtering. Let's go refactor now. I'm going to replace generation set, all instances of it, with generation immutable set. And what I should see is I get one compile error, which is the import. And because there is no generation JDK, generation immutable set, let's just delete that. Now I can show you the type. So I haven't changed any types here, right? I've just done a search and replace. The type here is not set. It's immutable set. Now remember what I told you earlier, immutable set is not a set. And yet it's somehow able to just be plugged in wherever set was. So it actually has APIs like .stream, because I haven't refactored any stream code yet, right? So if I go back, I should see, yeah, this is doing .stream, .filter, .count. Hey, stream works with immutable collections types, even though the immutable collection types have nothing to do with the JDK hierarchy. So I should be able, I'm making very obnoxious claims up here. Am I being too obnoxious, by the way? I can tone it down. No? All right.
They're not being obnoxious enough.
Ah, challenge.
New Jersey, by the way. Come on.
Oh, that's right. Jersey.
Sorry. So with that simple replacement, you're already getting some memory and performance advantages.
Well, not yet. I haven't gotten rid of stream yet, but when I get rid of stream, we will get those things, and that's what I'll be doing in a second. But like for now, let's just make sure I haven't broken anything, right? Everything still works. Yay, compatibility. That's step number one. Compatibility is great, right? You'd like to know that I can use something without changing anything I did already, and magically stuff stops working. The same stuff should keep working, right? But let's go into counting and see, like, so in JavaStream, if you want to count something, you do .stream. There's our bun method. Then we do the meat of the operation, which is filter, and I pass in a predicate as a lambda. Everybody know lambdas? Okay. Appendix D, I think, on lambdas. I'm sorry, I'm not usually this bad. But thank you for, Yes, and so you know what? I first learned lambdas not in Smalltalk. I learned a language called Clipper. Anybody know Clipper? I did that in the early 90s. And guess what? Clipper was inspired by Smalltalk. I had lambdas since the 90s. I don't know. And I had to wait. But anyways, okay. So I do stream. I do the meat operation, which is filter. This is my predicate where I want to check that a generation contains 1995. Anybody know what generation contains 1995? Hopefully it's only one though, right? Because that's all we're doing here. Z? Some millennial? I mean, we can test this if you want and figure it out, but we actually probably have code later that will do it. But let's say for the count purposes, right? So I do this, I can see like this is counting, but this is a lot of stuff to write. What if I could just get rid of that and get rid of this and do count here and drop this extra count that I don't need? And just to make it so it's on the screen. So there's count with a predicate. What am I missing? A semicolon? Yep, I'm missing a semicolon. So put a semicolon there. I made that simple change, right? And it works. Now I can see going from JDK, which look like that, .stream, .filter, .count to just .count.
Is it your terminator in the stream as like build?
It is an eager method on the collection itself. JDK doesn't have them. Yes.
Okay.
Are there other predicate reducers? Because honestly, for most of the other like stream-based interfaces, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But for predicates in particular, putting them in the reducer.
Any satisfy, all satisfy, none satisfy, select, reject. Oh, reject doesn't exist in the JDK. That would be if you had filter not. It's the opposite of filter. There is no opposite. So yeah, there's partition is one that takes a predicate. There's a list, there's quite a few methods that take, and we're actually going to cover quite a few of them in these tests, right? So, okay. The next one, if I wanted to count let me get rid of this so it's not kicking with the screen. If you're wondering who the squirrel is, was anybody wondering that? I'm the squirrel. When you do a talk with someone else, right? It's like, how do you remember which slide is which? So if you see a dodo, that's my friend Vlad. I did not choose this for him. That was his own choice. I don't know why he chose dodo. But I am squirrel because I get easily distracted. I go on lots of tangents. It's kind of works, right, with this personality? Anyways, anybody recognize what the counting icon is? Mike, you remember abacus. Sorry. What was that? Is it? Where is it? Let me find abacus. There it is. It's the first one, abacus. Thanks. All right. Okay, so here we're actually going to group the generations by the number of years in the generation. An odd thing to group by, but let's say, and you can actually see the results here. So if I group by the number of years and I want to count them, how many generations have 17 years? 2. 16, 3, 19, 1. Anybody unclassified? How old are you again? So 1,843 years in unclassified. There's only one of those, thankfully. But anyways, we create a hash map and we test that those are equal. Now, this is a lot of stuff. Anybody remember, what would I use for counting in Eclipse Collections? Anybody remember what I said earlier? What type? Yeah. Yes, I would use a bag. All right, let's use a bag. All right, so instead of all this stuff, let's just do count by. And I don't need counting. That seems redundant. I'm already counting. All right, now count by and map. See, that type doesn't really match. So I'll just use IntelliJ to refactor it for me and say, change the variable to immutable bag of integer. That sounds good. All right, but I'm not, oh, see that get method went red? What was that doing? So it was doing the lookup in the map for 30. And it's coming back with null. Ooh, that sounds like a horrible thing to do. Like, what if I ask for something that's not in there? I get nulls back in maps. Thankfully, bags don't have these problems. If I did occurrences of, which is the bag API, occurrences of, you can see it's giving an object. It said the call to assert null always fails according to its method contracts. That's because occurrences of returns an int. It doesn't return an object, which can be null. It returns a count, because bags count. So anyways, I'm going to save some time by going to this test and just copying the asserted code. So this is the actual creation of the bag. I'll just copy that to save some time. I'll replace the hash map code here, which I'm using for comparison, replace it with the bag equivalent. Oh, I'm sorry for the of fans. Oh, okay, fine. Oh, no, it doesn't exist there, but it exists. This is going to seem weird. I'm getting out of, I'm doing the squirrel thing right now. You can say of occurrences there, but you can't say it here. This is actually an instance method. It's not a static method. But anyways, okay. I changed all that. We changed the code, right? We can see this is what we had before. Stream, collect, collectors, grouping by, generation number of years, collectors, counting, to just count by, which returns a bag. And we should see this hopefully still passes. Oh, no. Oh, because I'm not asserting null anymore. What does this do? Let's go fix that. All right, it's not null. See, it was asserting null. It's not null anymore. It's 0. No, 0 is not null, right? So I should be able to say assert equals 0. And now it should pass. So this was my test protecting me. It said, no, you're not null. Oh, okay. We're 0. So guess what? Bags are null safe for sparse data. Maps are not. You populate a map, you look up a key that's not in there, you get back null. You look up a key that's not in a bag, you get back 0. Yeah.
Maps will return, some maps will not return. You end up looking up a null map and a null key in a map.
Yeah, all sorts of fun transpires, and then we want JSpecify implemented so we can protect against the nulls and all the things. Yeah, or use bag. Multimap actually has the same type of property where multimaps, which you can emulate with maps, don't have the null problem. If you ask for a key in a multimap that doesn't exist, you get back an empty collection. Yes?
And afterwards, you have to use a string null as a guard, so I get a default string null.
Yes. All the fun. All right. Okay, we did counting. Everybody good so far with counting? Any questions? We saw count, which takes a predicate. We saw count by, which actually takes a function. Remember symmetry in Eclipse Collections? Imagine there are like at least 15 to 20 methods that end in the preposition by. Count by, group by, max by, min by. Imagine all those methods that have by take a function. Okay, I've said enough. You've now learned everything you need to know about Eclipse Collections. Sorry. Okay, how's the obnoxious doing? Am I doing better or keep going? All right, good. Jersey in the house? All right. Oh, gosh. All right. These are those predicate methods, right? Any match, all match, none match. How many people are counting 80 bytes every time you see that now? 80 bytes, 80 bytes. You know how many bytes you get when you get rid of that? We can go 0 bytes. Eager method. Any satisfy. 0 bytes. All satisfy. What's the last one going to be called? We like symmetry? Okay, that's it. You guys get up here and teach me. You don't need me up here. All right, and unsatisfying. All right, I didn't change the predicate. All right, we should be able to run those, and we just saved 240 bytes. You were all here witnessing it, right? Got rid of all those stream calls? All right, good. Finding, oh, another predicate method. All right, hopefully I love Java, so anything I make fun of is purely out of an intent to get the audience to learn. Unfortunately, on Java Stream, filter is used for too many things. Filter gets used for filtering, it also gets used for counting, and it gets used for finding. Because you see I have filter here? Am I filtering here? No, I'm finding the first one, right? So imagine instead of filtering here, I just had a method. Anybody remember their Smalltalk method names? Yes, detect. See, I feel right at home. So this becomes, yeah, we pick our Dr. Seuss API, we call that detect. We get rid of this, yeah, and we're done. And we run. Hey! Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking of it. You'd mentioned stream gatherers earlier. How does that fit in here, if at all?
One should not talk to me about stream gatherers. No, I could actually go into, so in gatherers, there's fold. That would be inject into on the Eclipse Collections API. But if I show you and I can show you because it's up on a public blog, gatherers actually has an additional cost when you're using with stream because it creates another object on top of the stream that you have to then combine, which is more memory. So inject into doesn't create any garbage, so it's 0 bytes to do the same thing as gatherers.fold. Now there are probably things you could do with gatherers fold when combined with stream that would create some very, I don't know, what's the word for it? Forgetting the word. I don't know, kind of like rich combination of behaviors that, exotic. Could create some exotic combination of things that you couldn't achieve simply just by using an inject into. But it's funny because like I refer to inject into, and there's a blog about this. Anybody know Dude, Where's My Car? Yeah, oh my God, that's really showing age. Dude, Where's My Car is not that old. It's from like after 2000. Anyways, okay, spoiler alert, in Dude, Where's My Car, they look for a device called the Continuum Transfunctioner, which is basically a mysterious and powerful device that can do anything. Inject into and fold are continuum transfunctioners. You couldn't explain to someone what they do, but they can do everything. They're extremely mysterious and powerful. Anyways, okay, let's do this fine first. So let's just blind. So I didn't rehearse this too much because I've done this too many times maybe. I can just do that detect. Oh, but you see that or else now? Before I said or else no. Now I've got an else condition. What do you think it would be called if I needed a detect method that had an optional thing if none? It's like you read my mind without me actually using the words. So I can say detect if none and pass this instead of a separate method call, it's just as a parameter. Hopefully I get my parentheses right here. Except the parameter needs to be a function 0, which is a supplier in Java parlance. So this would have to be a lambda. So I can do that. So detect if none, this should still pass. By the way, you can do all this refactoring your own as well. It's up on GitHub. You can do this on your own. You can see the EC solutions, like there is an EC test, which I could just show you and compare against if you want to see what they are. I like doing it live though, because it allows me to talk and be obnoxious and share fun stories. Yes. That's a great question. there's a blog. If you Google do or donut, okay, Star Wars fans? Do or do not? Do or donut. There is no try. Just Google that, and you'll find a blog that shows you a Kotlin kata, a donut kata, implemented both in Java and Kotlin. Both use Eclipse Collections. Because guess what? Kotlin's just a JVM language, or used to be just a JVM language. Now it's more. But the JVM variety can just use Eclipse Collections because Eclipse Collections is implemented in Java. It's available in any JVM language. You could use it in Scala, you could use it in Groovy, you can use it in Clojure, you can use it in Kotlin if you want, whatever you want. So yes. Okay, let's do this. Max by, ooh, it's more involved stuff. Generation's not classified. So if I was doing this in Eclipse Collections, I would list dot mutable of, and instead of filter, I'll do select. I don't need the to list anymore. We haven't covered select yet, but you're seeing it now. You can see select doesn't return a list. It returns, because I'm on a mutable collection, we'll return an immutable list. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because like this is a feature of Eclipse Collections as well. If you have a method on a collection that returns a collection, most of the times it'll return exactly the same collection type you were on. So all of the methods in Eclipse Collections are covariant. So if I'm on a list, if I'm on a mutable list, select will return a mutable list. If I'm on an immutable list, it'll return an immutable list. If I'm on a bag, it'll return a bag, which bag is the parent type. It'll return either a mutable bag or a mutable bag, depending if I'm on those types. The place where it gets interesting is if you're on a sorted set, a mutable sorted set, collect will return a list. And the reason it will do that is because we had to make a decision. We could choose any type, but you can't really return a mutable sorted set from a mutable sorted set because if you collect, it means you're transforming. The comparator for the sorted set may be different. So how do you define what the comparator is? So we said, let's just return something that preserves as much of the mutable sorted set as possible, and list at least will guarantee order. So it's the same order. Wow, you learned way too much about Eclipse Collections design. Did I put anybody to sleep with that one? Okay, just me. Yeah, lots of it. I can talk about this stuff forever. All right, we don't need to do stream collect, collectors, max by. Let's just do max by. Huh? Yes. I'm telling you, see, it teaches itself. You can do exactly that. So it's two sorted collection, well, two sorted list, but it is the equivalent of as sorted collection from Smalltalk, and really inspired from that ability to have all those converter methods, right? But let's do, we don't need to do comparators, comparing. We can just do max by and specify. Remember, max by takes a function. We don't need the or else null. This is going to break, by the way. I'm going to have to debug it because I haven't thought enough about this. If it just works, then it means my magical coding abilities have gotten the best of me. They don't actually exist. That's why they're magical. I'm going to be shocked if this passes. All right, ready? Close my eyes. That was disappointing, wasn't it? Ah, no, it's not supposed to work. My tests aren't supposed to pass the first time. I like failure. It means I got to think. All right, no thinking here. Let's just move on. So if you look at what I did there, right? We used, in the finding category, I included both detect or find first in the JDK parlance, as well as max and min. Because if you think about it, max and min, when you're using compare, you're finding the element that matches that max function in the comparator. So I look at it as it's a finding method, right? Oh, we're finally at filtering. We can do this one real fast, right? What's the method I want to use here for filtering? Yes. Let's get rid of, oh, I want a 2 unmodifiable set. What do you think could make this unmodifiable? Well, I'm already immutable, so I don't need to do anything. All right, so I do have to change the type here. That's not unmodifiable. JDK was lying to me. It was creating an unmodifiable set, and it was a set interface, which is mutable. What is it? Lies, damned lies, and statistics? Is that okay? Okay, so I'll change this type to immutable list, or immutable set. Hey, let's see if that works. All right, it's working. So imagine we want a filter with a not. Anybody remember what the method name was called? Nope. What's the opposite of select? Yes. You guys are like awesome. Now I have to get rid of this not thing though, right? It's like, why do I need that little ampersand that you probably wouldn't pick up in the code if you were having to debug it, because it kind of just hangs out there hiding amongst the, and I don't need unmodifiable anymore, right? And I should just be able to convert this safely to a mutable set. And voila, filtering. Yay. Now here you actually get to see where we create a set. So you see sets mutable with the different enum values. Okay, now this one, this is my least favorite API on stream. Can you imagine I had such a thing? All right, what do you think my problem would be with partitioning by? Look at the type up there. What does it return? No, look at to the left of partition. What's the type? Map would be bad enough, but map of what? Map of Boolean to set. So now how many keys can I actually have in this map? Can I, are you sure it's only 2? I think we might have some ability to test that, right? I should be able to say assert equals, or assert null, right? That partition dot get null, or I could say get new object. Nothing very Boolean about this stuff, but the compiler's happy. Runtime's going to be happy as well, right? Those should come back as null, right? Because I should be able to test a map of Boolean that they don't contain null or new object. Of course I can, because map, when I look for get, it doesn't take a type. It's not genericized. It takes object, right? And that was a holdover of when generics were introduced. It had to be compatible with old Java map, which took object. Yes?
So that the actual IDE isn't screaming at you right now for doing this, because this will, of course, break at runtime horribly when the cast is performed.
Well, it does actually scream at me. Suspicious call to map get. It's suspicious. So the compiler's not stopping me, but IntelliJ is saying, are you sure? Looks kind of sus. Yeah, so what's interesting, we get rid of that. So the equivalent of partitioning by in Eclipse Collections is just a method called partition. Again, on the types themselves, I will put this on a separate line so we can read it. It will take the predicate. It's not partitioning. What are words that end in ing? What's the term for that? English majors? Was that gerund? It is gerund. I learned that when I learned these methods probably. I probably learned it in grade school, but I forgot about it. What's a gerund? Where's it end in ing? It's like, it's a noun-ish, ends in ing. And if you look at the methods on collectors, they're all gerunds. They're not, normally when I see a method, I like a verb. Like partition feels like a verb. Partition that. Partitioning by says, I don't know. Maybe I'll partition, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll give you a map. Maybe you could pass in null, I don't care. But anyways, yeah, so Eclipse Collections, you won't see any gerunds. You will see the actual verb, so partition. And actually I want, it's just partition. I don't need gerund, G-E-R-U-N-D. Now, Barry, I'd like to get credit for being a professor of English at Drew University.
We can do it.
There's evidence too, right? That
I have, but I don't think it's UND, it's something else.
Was I right?
Yeah.
Wow. See, Eclipse Collections teaches you lots of things that you never knew you wanted to know. All right. Okay, so partition does not return a map of Boolean to set generation. So let's look at what it returns. Let's change it to a partition immutable set of generation. Wow. A special type. I wonder what a partition immutable set has. It must have a get method that takes an object. You think? It does not have a get method that takes an object. Surprise. But it does have two methods, get selected and get rejected. So what does partition do? It does a single pass filter of both everything that matches and doesn't match, right, in the collection. So I don't have to filter, I don't have to do selected and rejected, which would be iterating twice. I can iterate once, get back both collections. But these methods are typed, right? I have no parameters to pass to them. They're named, right? Which means now in the test is failing because I don't have get and I don't pass in a true. I do get selected. I get rid of this true test or true parameter. And then I do get rejected here. And I get rid of false. And everything else should just work. So anyways, yeah, it's the bullet. If I see it, so funny note about Eclipse Collections. We had the choice. We have primitive maps, right? And all 64, well, actually, it's less than that. And I'll explain in a second why. So you should have 8 times 8 number of primitive maps, right? Because it's the combinatorial explosion of both types. We do not have any map of Boolean to anything. We had to do extra work to make sure that isn't possible. Like a map of Boolean to anything is like, have 2 variables. Like, what is your problem? Like, and now you can just stick it in a record. Like, what are you doing? Don't have a map of Boolean to something. So that's why partitioning by is my least favorite method. It's like, it shouldn't have a map of Boolean. And if you, okay, I'm going to try not to pick on JDK too much here. So apologies to my friends who are going to require me to hand in my Java Champion t-shirt after the fact.
Remember that you're in New Jersey, so you've got
Oh yeah, I got it. So it's like, this is my Jersey date pass or something, right? It's like, say whatever I want. No, so if you look at OnStream, the partitioning by method, and I have a blog on this. Oh, sorry, it's on collectors. Oof. This one actually gets back to, remember that diagram I showed before with immutable set in the middle with 158 methods and all these things hanging off? One of the things I didn't tell you that is problematic when you have these small things, it looks easier to learn, except you have more of them to learn. I just went looking for partition on stream. It's not there. You're like, where is it? Oh, I got to go look at collectors. So now I have to know collectors and stream, plus the methods on each of them, right? Who reads Java docs? Wow, you have time to do that? Yeah, Claude read that? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, gosh.
Don't ever create a collections framework. That's all I have to say.
I don't have to,
I only not have to write them, I have to read them when someone else submits them as a contribution. But okay, partitioning by, all right. You see this return type, right? There's that map of Boolean thing. Now, if you can read the rest of the generics, you're better than I am. I got some not nulls in there, some, you know, question marks. But so if I look at this method, right? Oof. I'm looking for something in here. I'm going to find it. Oh, there it is. You see this type, partition? That sounds like a really good type. It could return the true and false results. And it does, except for it implements map of Boolean to T. So it's like they had the thing with 2 variables. Just return them. It's okay. You've got them. But no, instead of returning partition, we get map of Boolean that comes back as the type. Partition could have been the type that was returned. Now, the reason this isn't done, I guess, is every type that you add to the JDK on the interface, you've got to support that for the rest of creation and eternity and all those things. So partition, unfortunately, wasn't exposed as the type. We got map of Boolean to that, right? But it's weird. You look at the get method. It hard codes that it has to return null if it's not true or false, because it has to obey the map interface. Okay, I've shown you too much now, right? I'm hopefully, you know, it's Jersey though. It's okay. We can be cranky about whatever, right? All right. This passed. Did I run that? I'll do one more, just in the interest of time. Because we're way over now. No, I can keep going. And who wants to keep going? Because I can keep going, or I can. Why don't I do one more, and then you guys can ask me as many questions as you want, and I have 3 of the answers. Just joking. We have to auction and stuff. I don't want anybody to leave before I can auction off the book. I was like, I kept holding up the book and didn't give it to anybody. All right, let's do, grouping by, yay, Sharon. All right, grouping by. Oh, and remember my example, right? So before, when we counted the number of generations for each number of years. Now we're seeing the actual, so we can answer the question. No, we can't. We were looking at 1995 before. We still have to look it up, whether it's millennial. Okay, let's just do that one real quick. Think it's millennial, 1995? Okay, it's millennial. That's the one that contains 1995. All right. Whew. Off just 1 year. All right, okay. So now we have the actual generations in the grouping by. So grouping by, you can have some good symmetry, right? They both can be grouped by the same key. It's just one has the counts, one has the actual collections. Map of integer to set. This means, once again, I can check to see if there's a 30 in there, and I expect that comes back with null. And we know from running before that this should all pass, so it definitely asserts null. Works. All right, so let's get rid of all this stuff. Anybody guess what this method would be called? Group by sounds good. Let's go with that. All right, we don't need this collectors to set stuff. Oh, interesting. Grouping by in the JDK, because it is on a collector, can only have one return type, and it returns a list. So it required, if I look at this code, I wasn't looking before, see, grouping by, and then it does to a downstream collector for toSet. If I didn't have that, this wouldn't be compatible. It would actually give me a compiler and say, hey, you need to change that to be a list then, right? But I can use the downstream collector and toSet, but something that we know about Eclipse Collections, it has covariant return types, and because I'm on a generation immutable set, this is already a set. So I can put the group by here. I don't need .stream, no buns. Sorry. The humor never ends, right? Okay, change the variable type, and this is now an immutable set multimap of integer to generation. Oh, interesting. Get rid of the nested generics. I don't have list with angle brackets. So, but now, this isn't going to work because I don't have a hash map. So let's go save myself some time and look at generation EC test and find grouping by, because I want to create a multimap. And you'll see, remember that slide where I showed you had all those factories that you can create stuff? We'll see how to create a multimap here. You can see I can create an immutable set multimap using the interesting API, which we didn't talk about, which is I can create an empty one and then do new with all, new with all, new with all, new with all. I can keep chaining those forever because they're instance methods. That's a cool thing as well. The Eclipse Collections types are factories for themselves. So the mutable list can actually keep growing itself. You know how you have the add method in Java? What does add return? Boolean. We have add returns Boolean. I mean, that's help. You know, what does add return on list? Yeah, so what do you think that is? Do you think it ever fails?
I imagine so. If an exception gets thrown for some reason, then obviously at that point, forget it. It's like,
well, if an exception got thrown, you think it would return a different Boolean, or you think it would?
I think it can.
All right, we can answer these questions. We have the power to look at what ArrayList does, and we will look at the add method. And add, what does it return? Does that ever fail? I mean, once again, it won't return false, though. It's going to give you the exception because there are no checked exceptions here, right? You don't have to capture anything. It can only throw a runtime, which it's not going to care about the Boolean at that stage. It's like, whew. Huh?
I just thought they should be void.
So add is useful for sets because the set will return false if it's already contained. All right. Barry, I'd like credit for teaching Java collections as well. All right, good. Yeah, so in the hash set, you'll actually see if it's true if it actually adds to it and false if it's already contained.
We'll pay you as much as we pay our professors at Drew.
Which is they have to give free copies of their books. Awesome. Okay, let's go back. Let's, hopefully I copied the code and we're not going to do this twice. So we will paste here. Yay! All right, that should stay the same, but interestingly, I can do get 30. Let's see if that actually is null. Very interesting. I would expect it won't be null. The actual is, what do you think those open, close square brackets are? It's an empty, right? It's an empty set. So that's how collections print in Java, right? Square brackets, it'll be comma separated values, whatever's in, but there's no values, it's empty, right? So, okay, so we're not null anymore. We got to fix that. We can say assert true, and we don't care about null anymore. We don't got no null. We can say is empty. This will always not be null, right? Aha! All right, I said that would be my last one. Do we want to ask me lots of questions and then we can finish
If you have a
pizza and get
question,
books?
let me come over and bring you the mic.
Actually, no, you know what? Let me jump to the, I did have some summary slides. Let me do that first and then we'll do the question. So I won't do the memory. Eclipse Collection saves your memory. If you're interested in saving the planet, I mean, this is one way if you don't like recycling. Plus squirrels. Okay, so what? Yes? It has performance. It depends, right? That was my citation needed. It's like, it depends on what you're comparing. It will be faster. It depends. So for instance, like if I use primitive collections and they're not using boxed equivalents in the JDK, it's going to be faster and take less memory. Yes?
You mentioned that you're destroying significantly less garbage. So I can think of at least one performance case where it could be tremendously faster, and that's if you start thrashing GC for some reason, because obviously you'd be able to do that with JDK collections, you'd have a more difficult time of it doing with Eclipse. Yeah, so, and I'll show you, I can show you after I get through the last two slides. I've done a comparison of small collections for like stream compared to lazy iterable. I didn't even show you lazy iterable, but imagine all these methods that we just used. I could call as lazy and it would be exactly the same method because the lazy methods, it's not completely the same because like for instance, list may have some methods and set may have some. Set actually has all the set arithmetic methods like union, difference, symmetric difference, you know, Cartesian product.
You get credit for being a discrete math instructor.
I'm covering them all. Like you're gonna get like a minor in it, you know, computer science when you're done. But yeah, but rich iterable is the parent for collections as well as lazy iterable. So you got pretty much all the APIs we covered here would be available on lazy as well. But this actually slide shows you, these are all the things that Eclipse Collections gives you. So you get the rich functional API. You've seen some of that now, right? The memory efficiency I'm going to show you in a second if you want to just look at lazy iterable, but I can show you other things as well. You've seen the optimized eager API, right? Primitive collections, we didn't use any here, but imagine you had all the primitive types for like sets, bags, maps, lists, stacks with the same rich protocols. Not as many. It's not complete parity there, but quite a lot. You get the immutable collections, we've seen that, right? Because we use the mutable set everywhere. We could have just replaced it with mutable set. All the same things would work. You didn't see lazy in parallel yet. You saw multi-map and bag. We didn't cover BiMap, pool, or interval. I didn't cover hashing strategy data structures. These are all things you can find out about. Multi-reader data structures, these don't exist anywhere. Do you know synchronized collections? These are like those, except they do not allow iterator to be used because iterator is unprotectable. And if you read on synchronized collections, you have to manually take locks around code that uses synchronized collection. Unfortunately, if someone hands you a collection, you don't know it's synchronized. So how do you know to protect or not? With a multi-reader data structure, so multi-reader list, if you try to call iterator, it fails fast. If you want to use an iterator, you have to take a lock, and there's a method on the type that actually allows you to then take a lock, right? There's a with read lock in delegate and with write lock on delegate. So you can take a read lock or a write lock. That's why it's multi-reader. So we support multi-readers. It uses the reentrant read write locks. I implemented this back in 2007 because I was upset that synchronized collection, there was no way to protect iterators. And after convincing myself it wasn't possible, I went and created these things. And we saw mutable and immutable collection factories, right? I'm not going to talk about data frames. Data frame EC, which is implemented by my friend Vlad, it's built on top of Eclipse Collections. So anybody know data frames? Python pandas? Everybody know pandas? All right. Spark, if you use Scala, has a data frame. Kotlin actually has its own data frame now. There's a separate talk where we can explain how Kotlin memory and performance compares to Eclipse Collections version of data frame EC. But anyways, this is just one of the open source libraries that uses it. This shows the structure. All right, this is the important stuff if you want to take a picture. That QR code should take you to the source code for the thing. And it's funny because I'm saying that without remembering. Somebody bring it up and tell me, does it bring up Vlad's repo, or does it, either that or it brings up Eclipse Collections? If it brings up any other site, I'm going to blame the, okay, all right. I was gonna say I was gonna blame the students that hacked into my laptop while I was connected before. But anyways, that's the location of Kata. So if you want to take a picture of the slide, that's the Kata location. Yeah, you've heard enough about, you've at least seen enough about the book. So interesting thing, and I wrote this deck before what's been happening recently with memory, right? I had a problem 22 years ago with memory, and I looked at memory is the most precious resource. And it is now, I think, generally being viewed that way again, now that memory prices have spiked. It's like, oh, charge 4 times as much, and you can't, and now there's an availability problem. It used to be back in the day, in 2004, I was lucky I could find hardware that had 96 gigs. Now my laptop has 96 gigs. I just have to pay 4 times more for it, right? So it's it's changed from availability to supply and demand, and price, the effect of that, right? So Eclipse Collections, yeah, you get a lot more features. It's a lot less waste. We cared primarily about memory performance also then later. You get the intention revealing code. Things should be easier to write, should be easier to read. You got the resources, and then I can stop talking, and now you can ask me questions. Did I answer all of them? By the way, thank you so much for all the questions you all asked during that. It was amazing. I wasn't expecting that.
I just asked on YouTube and nobody had any questions.
What? YouTube? Come on. Yeah. We're in Jersey.
I guess one general question: would you rather recommend it to start using Eclipse collection, or if it's a new development or it's an existing project? Because there's a lot of refactoring, I guess, or something, right?
It depends, right? So one thing, yeah, if you're on a new project and you have the ability to add a third-party library, then yeah, why not? It's a great way to experience it because then you can write all the code that way. That's how I prefer to. Every new project I work on, it's going to use Eclipse Collections, right?
What a surprise!
Not only am I the Hair Club president, I'm also a member. But yeah, so it's also then easy, as you saw, right, to plug it in without, if you have, let's say memory concerns or other performance concerns, it can be a drop-in replacement, and you can gradually convert. You don't have to do the whole code base. The thing I didn't tell you, and nobody's asked me yet, and I got asked this at DevToNext last year, are there open rewrite recipes for Eclipse Collections? And the answer is yes. Magically, since I gave the talk last time, one of the committers on Eclipse Collections has a whole repository. So hold on, let me find it for you. It's called, he's included it in his project. It's called Lift Wizard. It's on GitHub, so if you do. So Lift Wizard, anybody know Drop Wizard?
Oh, yeah.
So Drop Wizard was like a, it still is, I guess, an alternative if you know Spring Boot. It's similar, like it packages up a bunch of libraries. I have to be connected to the internet. All right, Barry, tell your students.
You're not connected?
I disconnected for the whole thing. Isn't that impressive when you can actually see a talk and it was all run locally? I could have given this talk on an airplane ride where I didn't want to pay for the Wi-Fi. Okay, so I'm going to connect to Drew. Is it connecting? Hello? Okay. All right, so Lift Wizard, GitHub, let's see. A collection of utilities for Drop Wizard. We can at least see it's cool. We'll give him a shout out. Here's his graphic. Oh, he doesn't have his graphic up there. Oh, that's awful. We'll hopefully see it eventually. So under Lift Wizard utility, and he's got a bunch of packages. You'll see under Lift Wizard utility, there is Lift Wizard rewrite. Oh man, I was hoping he would have his graphic up here. It's basically a lift. It looks like a wizard with the hat, only he's been working out. Big muscles. So anyways, these are the open rewrite recipes, and you can see the recipes he has here. So if you use open rewrite, these weren't available back in September of last year. They are available now. I have not used them myself, but I have seen others use them. I like doing what I just did, which is write it all by hand. I feel like a woodworker carving a piece of art. I don't know what I'm talking about now. I need more pizza.
I can do that.
Okay, so anyways, those are out there. So that's an option as well. If you wanted to, once again, just if you didn't care about a code base and you just wanted to convert it all at once, I'm sorry. You care about your code base a lot and you want to convert it all at once, then this is an option. Yeah, hopefully you have good tests if you do that. Don't refactor code without tests. And I don't care what library it's using. I don't care how great Eclipse Collections is, do not do it. You saw me, what was I doing this whole time, right? I was refactoring and there were tests, and except for the fact that I could magically code, occasionally we got failures, right? All right. Any other questions?
Going once, going twice. All right, nobody on YouTube is
Well, thank you
asking
so
any
much.
questions,
This
so
was amazing.
Let's give Don a hand. All right. So while I'm thinking about it, look up Alice's Restaurant by Arlo Guthrie. It's a good 17 to 20
Yeah,
minutes
can I get like
long.
some music appreciation
it's-
class credit as well? Because like, come on, who ever mentioned
It's-
Arlo Guthrie in a talk
Exactly.
before?
But yeah, no, it's all acoustic guitar and a great story. So look it up. I'm sure you'll find it on YouTube. So can we go back to the?
Oh, you need to go back to the website?
Yes, please.
I'm still connected. We still have website, and that's gsjug.org/reveal.
Yeah.
You're good?
Perfect.
All right,
All
awesome.
right,
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so let's go back to where we were, and I'll make this quick, and then I'll let you raffle off the book, Don. Maybe ask
Yep.
a question from your talk. All right, so upcoming events, of course, Arc of AI is going on this week, so that's why I still put it up here. Oh, I can hold it, right? Is it? Okay. All right, fair enough. Just awkward putting it on there. All right. I'm not cool. I mean, I'm old. Those days are gone, Barry. Anyway, yeah, so I mentioned the Arc of AI conference. JCon Europe is next week. It's in Köln, Germany, otherwise known as Cologne. And then you can use Java Pro for a free ticket, right? So if you want to make plans to go out to Germany next week, here's your chance to do so. And then Eclipse OCX, formerly known as Eclipse Con, is also going on next week, and you can get a 30% discount using Ivar Grimstadt's discount code there. He originally had a 20%, so but that's going on. There's also there's a DevOps UK, and there's a whole bunch of others going on in Europe. So nothing in the States as far as I know. But all right, coming up for us at the moment, next month, May 12th, is Doug Dreschel, who visited with us, I think, last year or in 2024. I don't know exactly, this is the exact title. I don't have the abstract just yet, but it has to do geospatial with behavior vectors or AI flaws with spatial. So more on that to come. I'll try to get that abstract as soon as possible, and I'll send an email to the group. And of course, update the website. All right, so what are our friends doing? So Kansas City Jug, they met last week, but kind of still wanted to give them a shout out. Nikolai Parlog, if you remember, was I think our first meeting back in person in 2021. And Nikolai presented remotely from Germany. So it was very late for him. Our friends in Dublin, where I just was last month, they have their meeting on this Thursday, and oh yeah, Gong, which I think is a company, if you look at the meetup page, and Agentic AI tools. And I think you can, watch that remotely as well, but I'm not 100% sure. Our friends at Philly on the 22nd, of course, our new leader, Bhupendra, will be delivering the talk that he did here back in January, The Art of Debugging in the Era of AI. And then the Connecticut folks do have a date set for 28th, but according to the meetup page as of this morning, it was still to be announced in the speaker and the title. Everybody else, I didn't see anything on their respective meetup pages. Is there anything cooking for New York, Barry?
Yes.
No. Can you share it? Or is it?
I don't remember it.
Okay. All right, so, but it's for this month, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Last month they had Rod Johnson, give a talk on AI. So he was at DevNexus talking about Immutable. Or in Babel, I don't know which people prefer. But then everybody else at the moment doesn't have anything, so that's, so. Oh yeah, so our winner for March, IntelliJ IDEA, was Rudolph Sedlin. Is he here tonight? Oh, that's you, okay, that's right. So make sure you, redeem that coupon. So, okay, cool. Thank you, congratulations. That's right. I know I've seen you before, but I didn't. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's cool. No, that's awesome.
It is important to redeem it. It helps us. It helps us get more.
Let's see. Oh, and these are just resources you can look on your own. Various things here and there. So, if you haven't already done so, there are 2 of those laminated sheets with this same QR code. If you want to be in the running for a copy of IntelliJ IDEA, 1-year license, we appreciate if you fill that out. Also for attendance. All right, this way we can try to keep up, and if we like to have numbers to for a potential sponsor, for example, say, hey, we had all these attendees throughout the year, et cetera, et cetera. So. And this, of course, is Barry's favorite slide right here. So since he generated this image quite some time ago. QR code where we can redeem for that? Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I'm an enthusiast of craft beer, and Barry is a chocolate enthusiast, or whatever you want to call yourself, right? So that's why that's there. So. It's our YouTube channel at the bottom, so if you want to subscribe to that, please do so. With that, how do you want to give away the book there, Don? Want to ask a question?
Google random number generator.
Okay, good.
Ask a question, then it's like,
yeah.
who was first?
Yeah.
When they all
And then
answer,
we
they're
also
all experts now.
We also want to do a T-shirt or 2. For the Garden State Jug 25th anniversary. So you want to do it the way Gene Boyarsky does it, and then everybody picks a number and just go.
Yeah, I was just going to use hopefully Google random generator.
Yeah.
I'm not as good as Gene is at this stuff. I don't do this that often, but I think Google.com should have it right. random generator. Random. All right, who wants to be raffled for the book? 1, 2, 3.
Three.
More? 4. Can I hear 5? All right, well, we'll do 4. So I miss anybody, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'm going to do 4. Okay, the first time I'm going to do it just to make sure that this thing doesn't just return always a 1 or a 4. Okay, return to 2. Are we glad that that's suitably random? All right, I'm going to, you'll be number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. You ready? Drum roll.
All right.
There you go.
All right. All right. So who wants a T-shirt? We have both ladies and men's available. Do we just what's that? Okay. Let's see. So all right. So who wants a T-shirt? So you just give everybody one, or just a number? Okay. So how do we do this? We can start with you, Moshe, number 1 again. You want to be number 1 again for? All right. T-shirts, yes, yeah. So, and then light is killing me, so I'll stand over here. So let's see, 1, 2, gentleman in the white shirt, want to be number 2? All right.
I'll be number 3.
Okay, 3. I should just give you one anyway, Don. So 3, 4. You want to be number 4, right? All right. 5, 6 in the back, right? 7, 8. You have one already. That's right. 9.
I was actually going to disqualify myself from one.
Oh. That's right. You got one at the either last month or at the 25th celebration. Yeah, yeah. So, you have a shirt there, Boris? Okay. All right. So what did I leave off? 8. 8. Okay. And then 9. Okay. All right. So just hit, what do I have to hit here? Just generate?
Oh, wait, no, you have to change the max number.
Oh, max is 9, right? Thank you for catching that. All right, ready? Okay, number 9. So, there we go. All right, perfect. So, all right, just come see me afterwards, and I'll dig them up. We only have a couple of men's left here. So next month, May 12th, right? So thank you for coming out. Thank you for everybody in television land for joining us tonight. And safe travels home, and we will see you next month.